Okay, so the first one is Galatians 3, where Paul is citing Deuteronomy, where it says, "Cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree." And what Cole properly points out is that "on a tree" is not in the Hebrew. It just says curses every, let me just find it here. I pulled it up. It says, ki lat Elohim talui, the accursed of God is the one who is hung. I would just say that the reason the Septuagint and then Paul adds "on a tree" is just because it's already twice there in the prior verses. So in 21:22, it says, "You shall hang him on a tree." And then verse 23 begins, "You shall not hang all night on a tree. But for cursed is God is everyone who is hanged." And then they just add "on a tree" because it's referring. So basically you have the verb "to hang" 3 times. The first 2, it says "on a tree." The third one in the Hebrew does not say "on a tree." The Septuagint,
but it's implied,
just adds it as a clarification and we call that ellipsis. Usually there's an implication. It's just by implication. And because I think because Paul might know, I'm guessing here, but Paul probably knows that "on a tree" is not in that verse, but because he's using it as a shorthand for those couple of verses, he's not citing the whole passage from Deuteronomy. He's just citing a half of a verse, or like a third of one verse. He on a tree helps him remind people that the context is on some sort of tree or wooden post. That's my thought on that one. Romans 15:12, Paul cites Isaiah 11. The NASB says, "There shall come the root of Jesse, he who arises to rule over the Gentiles. In him the Gentiles shall hope." Now, he said the Gentiles aren't mentioned. Actually, Gentiles are mentioned in did I lose it? In Isaiah 11:10, twice. First as Amim and then as Goyim. So I'm not sure what he meant by that, but I think he's saying to arise to rule is different than Omed Lenes, which means like stands as a banner or as an ensign. My thought there is that if you look at the larger context, the rulership is implied. That the idea of the root of Jesse as a ruler is implied here. That so that their understanding Omed Lenes stands as a banner, I think has a royal. It's a royal image that is interpreted as an idiom by the Greek, saying that there's a king, that this is referring to a king that will rule the world. And so will stand as a banner for the peoples, and the nations shall hope to him or inquire of him. And that's the verb darash, which could be taken both ways, is to be properly understood as there is a Messiah king coming from the tribe of Judah, coming from the line of David, and he is going to rule the world, right? I mean, that's, and it ties it, of course, to Daniel and all the other places where, the kingdom that will not be destroyed and that. So, and then the last one was in 1 Peter, he cites Isaiah 53. It says he had done no Hamas, it's that word, violence. And I looked up, the Septuagint actually has anomia, lawlessness. And Peter writes hamartia, sin. So I think it's just, I think, like an example of making a point, like violence is sin, right? That the violence that's being talked about,
could there be, wait, hang on, pause. Could there be a little bit of a theological view at play here? In other words, Peter is also perhaps saying he's the spotless lamb that didn't sin. I mean, could that be a possibility?
Yeah. And again, just like with the Galatians passage, he's not citing an extensive passage. He's bringing to mind he's using a part of a verse as a shorthand for a larger verse. In the same way we were talking about Isaiah 53:1, who has believed our report? Okay. Well, what am I referring to? I'm referring to that whole chapter and the implications of what that is all about.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell us your thoughts on this subject by leaving a comment in the comment section. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and enable those notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.